And we've been so blessed that actually have the restrictions lifted so that there are clubs and schools from interstate. We have clubs and schools from WA, South Australia, Tasmania, Victoria, Queensland and ACT. So a total of 897 boats entered. That covers 1,227 athletes and 87 events. Yeah, it splits down into 41 clubs and 37 schools. So a really healthy entry. We are delighted, really delighted, and we're looking forward to 2.5 days of fantastic rowing, kicking off with the Championship Men's Under 23 pair at 9:30 a.m. So in a few minutes' time.
So as you can see on the feed or on the large screen, the first race, the Championship Men's Under 23 pair, is they've just pulled into the boat holders and waiting probably for the 3-minute call. In lane 2 from Victoria, Melbourne University, we have Max Cooper and Fergus Ellis, coached by Matthew Ryan. In lane 3 from Queensland, from Cairns, we have Nick Ringelstein and Miller Rowe, coached by Scott Rowe. In lane 4 from Victoria, Melbourne University, we have Nick Smith and Fraser Miscampbell, coached by Matthew Ryan. In lane 5 from Toowong, North Esk, Connor Ryan and Tom Williamson, and they're off. In lane 6 from Victoria, we have Hamish Wynne-Pope and Joe O'Connell, coached by Matthew Ryan. And in lane 7 from Victoria, Melbourne University, we have Thomas Page and Thomas Mackey, coached by Matthew Ryan. So it looks like they're off to a really good start. It seems, while we've got a bit of a breeze ruffling the water down at this end of the course, it looks like they have pure glass up the other end there. So we have some wonderful ladies taking the time at the 500 metre split, and we know they're going to be very accurate.
Yeah, we're so lucky, aren't we? Wonderful volunteers here I'm sure every state is the same. But in this regatta, it's particularly important because, as I say, it's a selection event. So these under 23 pairs, in this rate we have a heat of 6, and the first 4 will progress through to the A final. There's not enough entries for there to be a repechage, so the remainder will go through to the B final. So that first 4 position is really important today.
So although the times haven't come through for the 500 metre, it looks to be lane 5. Oh. Yes, lane 5 has gone through first, I think. That's Connor Ryan and Tom Williamson.
All right.
No, I got that wrong. Connor Ryan and Tom Williamson are coming up as a did not start. And also Benjamin Pincus and Darcy McCluskey from the University of Queensland and Toowong are scratched.
Which means they all go through. So I guess it's really just if there's 4 of them going through, it's just a question of where they finish, which will determine what lane they get in the A final. Now for some, oh no, we've got 5.
No, there's still 5. There's
still
5, yeah.
Right, yeah. So then that's always a bit of a tactical game, isn't it? Do you want to go for the best lane, or do you want to just conserve your energy, given it's your first race of the weekend? And there, I think the weather conditions that are forecast might come into play, because I believe we have got rain and storms possibly tomorrow. So that's lanes 3's Ringelstein and Rowe, is that coming through in first position? Canned. So our lovely timekeepers from the 1500 metre have let us know that, that were supposed to be at 500 metres have let us know that sadly we've had some volunteers unable to attend this morning, so our 500 metre champions are now at 1500 metres. And we've obviously got somebody at 1,000 metres as well, so thank you all the volunteers. And if there's anybody listening in who's a resident of New South Wales and want to get involved in what goes on behind the scenes, we'd love to hear from you. Events like this, we really, really want 2 or 3 people in each of the 3 timing huts and people at the finish line. So just contact Rowing New South Wales and let them know if you'd be interested in learning how to push buttons and watch racing from a nice sheltered position along the side of the course.
So Rinkelstein and Rowe have a healthy lead at the 1,000 metre mark. The other 4 are quite closely bunched together, so I guess that's going to be a real battle to see which is the one that actually misses out.
And of course these guys will be very familiar with each other since the Melbourne University group of under 23s and under 21s coached by Matthew Ryan at Melbourne University Boat Club. Matt Ryan himself an Olympic medalist in the Coxless 4.
Looking very relaxed out the front there.
Yeah, very good.
It's the Ken Major theory that I've always adhered to. Get in front and stay in front.
So easy. So that's Canned sitting in the first position, Ringelstein and Rowe. They have almost 5 seconds now over the first Melbourne University crew of Thomas Page and Thomas Mackey, who are in lane 7. Sitting in third, just 0.37 of a second at the 1500 metre mark, is the Melbourne University 6 crew of Max Cooper and Fergus Ellis, who are crossing lane 1. And then Melbourne Uni 4 are in fourth. That's Smith and Miss Campbell, also coached by Matt Ryan, and currently trying to work their way up to that top 4 position is Melbourne University 3 crew.
So really the race is going to be with Hamish Wynne-Pope and Joe O'Connell from Melbourne University trying very hard to battle for fourth place, I dare say.
And you can hear our competitors who have gathered in the grandstand, because there's no spectators today, cheering their crews on. Cand managing to hang on to first position there. But a really good sprint from lane 7, the crew of Page and Mackey. They've rode their way through now to second position, and the Melbourne University second crew will have to settle for second place. Fourth, lane 4. Fifth, and missing out on a place in the A final, the 6th crew of Wynne-Pope and O'Connell.
And lane 2 is racing. This is the second heat of the men's under 23 championship pair. In lane 2 we have for Melbourne University Charlie Petruni and Tom Hooper, coached by Matt Ryan. In lane 3 we have Jared Lord and Mitch Salisbury from Cand, coached by Scott Rowe. In lane 4 from Melbourne University, James Scott and Harry Fox, coached by Matt Ryan. In lane 5, thank goodness we at last have a New South Wales person. Alex Nichol and Alexander Potter, coached by Donovan Check, and Shane Mulvaney from Sydney. In lane 6, lane 6 has been scratched. In lane 7, we have from Melbourne University, Martin Kaleza and William Ackerman, coached by Matt Ryan. And the scratch crew was from Melbourne University, Marcus Emmett and Sam Hobson.
So they're up and running. Whilst they are, we'll just bring you the results of heat number 1. So just confirming, it was a win for Ringelstein and Rowe of Cand in a time of 6 minutes 47.75. Second, Melbourne University's Page and Mackey, the margin 1.59. Third was the Melbourne University crew of Cooper and Ellis, the margin 1.51. Fourth, the Melbourne University crew of Smith and Miss Campbell, the margin 2.83, and those 4 crews will move through to the A final. Fifth, the Melbourne University crew of Wynne-Pope and O'Connell, the margin 2.67, and they will progress to the B final.
And the current races come through the 1,000-metre mark with James Scott and Harry Fox in the lead by a couple of seconds, followed by Sydney, Alex Nichol and Alexander Potter. Then followed by, pretty close, Martin Kaleza and William Ackerman from Melbourne University. Then Charlie Petruni and Tom Hooper and Jared Lord and Mitch Salisbury from Cannes bringing up the rear. So again, it's going to be a battle to be for the 4th place to go through. Field looks to be fairly well shaped into that wonderful arrow shape where the lead is in the middle. In lane 4. Oh, and they crossed the 1,500 metre line there, very close. James Scott and Harry Fox battling it out with Alex Nichol and Alexander Potter. It would have been a photo across the 1,500 metre mark there. They're both coming up with exactly the same times. Then 3 seconds back to Martin Kaleza and William Ackerman. Then quite a way back to Charlie Petroni and Tom Hooper, nearly 6 seconds.
Yeah, it's a very good crew, this crew of Alex Nichol and Alex Potter from New South Wales, coached by Olympic medalist in the pair himself, Donovan Check, and Shane Mulvaney, medalist in the lightweight pair for Ireland. at the under 23s. So some good coaches giving some good coaching, and obviously in the middle, in that third 500, they did a massive push and had a great row. For whatever reason, looks to me like they're backing it off a little now and just allowing that Melbourne University crew to push on through. So it's in the lead still, the crew of James Scott and Harry Fox from Melbourne University, coached by Matthew Ryan. Coming through now into second position, the Melbourne University crew of Martin Kaleza and William Ackerman, also coached by Matt Ryan.
And they've pushed right through.
They have indeed. Lane 2 pushing through the Sydney crew as well now. I wonder if there's a bit of an issue in the boat. Charles Petruni and Tom Hooper, coached by Matthew Ryan. And again, it's the first 4 through, so Sydney perhaps just opting, actually they've come in third, so perhaps they've just opted to take it nice and easy now that they've tested the field a bit. And just missing out now on the A final is the crew of Jared Lord and Mitch Salisbury from Cand. First 4 only through to the A final. So just confirming that then, the results of heat number 2 of the Championship men's under 23 coxless pair, a win for Scott and Fox of Melbourne University in a time of 6 minutes 51.64 seconds. Second, Melbourne University crew of Kaleza and Ackerman, the margin 2.26. Third, the Sydney Rowing Club crew of Nicol and Potter, the margin 2.6. And fourth, the Melbourne University crew of Batruni and Hooper, the margin 1.21. Those 4 crews will progress through to the A final. In fifth, and progressing to the B final, the Cand number 2 crew of Lord and Salisbury in a margin of 3.88.
And race 3, the first heat of the men's under 23 single scull has just come through the 1,000 metre mark with Kieran Riak, coached by Don McLaughlin from Sydney University, in the lead. In lane 6, he's followed by Oscar Williams, coached by Alex Field and Hallie Chapman in lane 5. Then followed by Finian Colley from North Esk, and over in lane 2. Then from the Tweed we have Dylan Rhodes in lane 3, coached by Gary Anand. Closer to us in lane 7 from UTS, Luca Roncolato, coached by Alex Field and Haley Chapman. In lane 4, so I'm reading them out the order they came across the line, came across the 1,000 metre mark there, is Luca Heher, coached by Charlie McKenzie, and in lane 8 we have from St George, Lachlan Dunn, coached by Mark Featherston. So this is a full field in this heat.
Yeah, great to see Lachlan Dunn back. He hasn't been around for a little while, I don't think, but he was very good when he was at school, joining the Pathways 8, and really got the feel for it and thoroughly enjoyed it, so it's great to see him back again. So in this race again, the Championship men's under 23 single scull, it's just the first 4 that progress through to the A final, and sadly it doesn't look as though Lachlan's going to make it through to the A final, but as I say, great to see him back again, and at least you get 2 good races in an event like this. You get to do either an A final or a B final. So across the field then, so we've had a list of where they are in placings, but across the field in lane 2, which is the far side to the grandstand, we've got North Esk, Finian Colley. In lane 3, Tweed, Dylan Rhodes. In lane 4, ANU 2, Luca Heer. In lane 5, UTS N-Swiss, Oscar Williams. In lane 6, Sydney University, Kieran Riak. In lane 7, UTS, Luca Roncolato. And in lane 8, St George, Lachlan Dunn. And Finian Colley from North Esk in Tasmania, putting in a good showing now and has moved through to first place.
Only just so.
So he's pushed through from third at the 1,000 metre mark to being first at the 1,500. So he's having an excellent third 500. Oscar Williams remains in second place, and Kieran Riak at the moment has dropped back to third. Moving from 6th to 4th, Luca Heer from ACT. No, that looks as though he's dropped back again now as we come into the last 250. But there's no doubt that Finian Colley from Tasmania, the club of North Esk, looking really strong out there, having a nice paddle. Oscar Williams also making it look nice and easy. So the two of them safely through to the A final. Then Kieran Riak. No, it's Luca.
Luca Roncolato working very hard to try and get a place in to go through, but so didn't quite make it.
Yeah, and yes, it was Dylan Rhodes. Sorry, I got a bit confused there with the colours. So Dylan Rhodes from Tweed of Queensland in lane 3 came third. Kieran Riak of Sydney University came fourth. So we know who we've got in the A final. Now it's a question of what lanes will the B finalists be in. So Luca Roncolato takes out the 5th position. He'll be the first one into the B final, followed by Lachlan Dunn of St George Rowing Club and Luca Hare of ANU. I was going to say provisional time for Finian Colley of Tasmania. Winner of the men's under-23 single scull heat 1 was 7 minutes 25.64 seconds. The margin to Oscar Williams 1.02, to Dylan Rhodes a further 6.23, and to Kieran Riak 1.81. Those are the 4 crews through to the A final.
And they're coming through very fast. The second heat for the under-23 single scull. Jordan Duff from Sydney University did not start. In lane 2 he was to be. In lane 3 from the ANU we have Lucas Hempton, coached by Charlie McKenzie. In lane 4 from Tasmania, from Bucks, Joseph Wilson. In lane 5 from Sydney University, Miller Argent, coached by Thomas Lorich. In lane 6 from UTS, Marcus Delamata, coached by Alex Field and Hallie Chapman. And in lane 7 from Commercial in Queensland, Sam Green, coached by Charles Green. As they've gone through the 1,000 metre mark, Sam Green is in the lead, but only just by 0.4 of a second over Joseph Wilson. Then there's about a 5.5 second gap back to Miller Argent. Then quite a large gap back to Lucas Hempton, 24 seconds. Sorry, I missed out Marcus Delamata in that call, who's coming through in third.
So one of the consequences of not having had our national championships in 2020 and not having had many regattas yet is a lot of these names in the under-21, under-23 age bracket are actually quite new to us, aren't they? So, forgive us if we're not familiar with previous form. And the other thing is we've missed an international season, so often some of these guys would have been on the under-21 team racing against New Zealand midway through 2020, and of course we didn't have any of that, so just so grateful to be here. Sam Green at the 1,500 metre mark got there in a time of 5 minutes 30.28. Joseph Wilson less than a second behind him, still maintaining second position. Marcus Delamata, strong sculler, but he's got about 5 seconds to catch up to Joseph Wilson, so can he do that in this last 500 metres? Miller Argent sitting in 4th position, but almost 13 seconds behind Marcus Delamata now. However, a very long gap back to the less experienced Lucas Hempton from that fledgling squad of Charlie McKenzie's there at ANU. Some exciting stuff coming out of there. I'm sure they'll go from strength to strength. It's great to see them here. But it looks to me as though Lucas Hempton is going to be joining his colleague from the previous round, Luca Hare, in the B final. So Joseph Wilson, he was less than a second behind Sam Green at the 1,500 metre mark. He still continues to press and challenge for first position, but Sam green, looking around, looking comfortable, quite determined that he's going to take out first position and get the best possible lane for the A final.
Looking very comfortable as he's about to cross the line.
Oh, I think we got that the wrong way round. Geez, we are rusty. Sorry, Joseph Wilson challenged and did get through, so he took out first position for Buckinghamshire Rowing Club, and Sam Green had to settle for second. Sam from Commercial. Marcus Delamata, not pressed at all, comfortable in third place, going through to the A final. And our fourth position will be the Sydney University sculler, Miller Argent.
And the time, is it official, unofficial? 7:21.37.
That was a good last 500 there for Lucas, for Joseph Wilson. He managed to go from a deficit of a second to winning by almost 3 seconds in that last 500. Good last 500 for him. So our final racer, Lucas Hempton, for representing ANU, crosses the line and concludes heat number 2, the final heat in the Championship Men's Under-23 Single Scull.
And underway on the course, we have race 5, which is a Championship Women's Under-19 Single Scull, Heat 1. In lane 1 from UTS, we have Sarah Fard, coached by Hallie Chapman and Alex Field. In lane 2 from St Paul's Grammar, Madison Joins, coached by Lindsay Callahan and Charlotte Toots Cutler. In lane 3 from Mossman, Lillian Hyde, coached by Kate Healy and Justin Brown. In lane 4 from Canberra Grammar, Madeline Vague, coached by Sarah Cook. In lane 5, Edie Brown has been scratched. In lane 6 from Sydney, Lily Eels, coached by Brendan Longman and Donovan Check. In lane 7, Katia York from Mossman, coached by Katie Healy and Justin Brown. And Ashley Potter from Glebe is scratched. I understand she's doing her year 12 this year and a bit difficult to get away from school.
Oh, that's a shame. Never mind. Good that she was going to have a go. Yeah, so we have a bit of a mix here, don't we? It's obviously under 19, which is the age group that would represent at the Junior World Championships. What we call juniors in rowing, for anybody who's new to rowing and watching their offspring racing here. And we have a mix also of both clubs and schools. So just to explain, some schools don't have rowing programs. So at some regattas, athletes who are rowing at clubs can represent their schools. For example, the IGSA regatta that's coming up, the Independent Girls' School regatta that's coming up next weekend. But at championships like this, they would probably choose to represent their club instead. We do have somebody here, Madison Joins, representing St Paul's Grammar today. She's doing it the opposite way around. She's representing her school today, but she does row at Penrith Rowing Club under the watchful eye of the evergreen Lindsay Callahan and his superb apprentice coach, Charlotte Toots Cutler.
So as they came through the 1,000 metre mark, Lily Eels was in the lead by about 3 seconds, followed by Madeline Vague from Canberra Grammar. Then about only less than a second back to Sarah Fard from UTS. Then about 7 seconds back to Lillian Hyde.
Yeah, we have Katia York sitting in 5th position, and Madison Joins, who's, I think, just turned 16, so quite young for this age group, but taking her chances and getting the experience by racing. She's currently sitting in 6th position. The wind looks as though it's dropped slightly.
Yes, perfect conditions out there.
So they're through the 1250, halfway through that awful third 500 that some people find to be such a slog. You can see some good progress being made there by Lillian Hyde of Mossman Rowing Club. She's getting that blade covered up and giving it a good shove. And it looks as though she's found her rhythm nicely as she comes through the 1,500 metre mark.
I think
That's
that's
Madeleine Vac.
No, that's Lily Eels in front, I think. In lane, sorry, that was lane 4, I think, crossing through, so that would be Madeleine Vac.
From Canberra Grammar. And then we have Lily Eel sitting in second position now, Sarah Fard of UTS in third, Lillian Hyde of Mossman Rowing Club's actually in fourth, and Katia York from Mossman Rowing Club is in seventh. So 6 minutes, 11 seconds to the 1,500 metre mark for Madeleine Vac of Canberra Grammar School. Coached by Sarah Cook. This is Sarah's first season with Toby at Canberra Grammar. Great to see them here when they rocked up this morning. It was lovely to see their familiar faces, and they were at Kinross Walleroy School the last couple of seasons, now working their magic at Canberra Grammar. And magic indeed, with Madeleine still in the lead as she comes to the 250 metres to go mark. So delighted to see so many people joining us from interstate online, having a look to see what's going on. I know it's very difficult that we can't have spectators, and it's also difficult with interstate travel, but it is lovely that we're very, very grateful to John Meekins and to the Sydney International Regatta Centre for us to have such wonderful coverage. John, fantastic here that we're able to see Madison as she comes up to the line here. She's eased right off now. She's made her mark, got herself in the position she wanted. She'll get the best lane in the final. And across she goes now. Canberra Grammar sending a very strong message to all the other schools as to what's going to go on this season.
And I think that's a photo for second and third. Across in lane 1, Sarah Fard from UTS, and in lane 6, Lily Eels from Sydney, followed by Lillian Hyde from Mossman in 4th place. Katia York here in lane 7 will come in 5th. And over in lane 2, we have Madison Joins coming in at 6th place.
So recapping the results of race number 5, the first heat of the Championship Women's Under-19 Single Scull. It was a win for Canberra Grammar School, Madeleine Vac, coached by Sarah Cook, in a time of 8 minutes, 18.35 seconds. Second, Sydney Rowing Club's Lily Eels, the margin 7.81. Third, Sarah Fard from UTS, the margin 0.26. And fourth, Lillian Hyde of Mossman Rowing Club, the margin 9.01. Those 4 scullers progress through to the A final. Fifth, Katia York from Mossman. Sixth, Madison Joins from St Paul's Grammar. They progress to the B final.
And race 6, the second heat of the women's under-19 single scull is underway. In lane 2, Michaela Hole from Nepean, coached by Daniel and Jason Waddell. In lane 3 from the ANU ACT is Eleanor Moran, coached by Renee Domashentz. In lane 4 from Corio Bay, Meg Cartwright, coached by Lee Hall-Sullivan. In lane 5 from St Mary's High, Claire Robinson, coached by Lindsay Callaghan and Charlotte Toos-Cutler. In lane 6 from Mossman, Grace Burke, coached by Katie Healy and Justin Brown. In lane 7 from Sydney, Lily Gavin, coached by Brendan Longman and Donovan Check. And in lane 8 from Canberra Grammar, Zoe Bond, coached by Sarah Cook. And Elena Moran from the ACT is scratched in lane 3. So they're just about to come up through the 1,000 metre mark. It looks like lane 8 is in the lead, which is Zoe Bond. yes.
Yep, crossing the line. So where are we at? 1,000 metres. So she's crossed that in 4 minutes, 3.98 seconds. And Lily Gavin, 2.88, so about a length behind her. Meg Cartwright from Corio Bay sitting in 3rd position. Michaela Hole of Nepean sitting in 4th, Claire Robinson of Penrith is in 5th, and Grace Burke of Mossman Rowing Club currently in 6th. So Zoe Bond, she has a length lead over Lily Gavin of Sydney Rowing Club, and then it's some 7.5 seconds back to Meg Cartwright. So it'll be interesting to see. We know Lily Gavin here locally as being a very fierce competitor, so it'll be interesting to see what she does in the middle of the race and see if she can come through and take a better lane in the final, or whether she's going to be content to just sit there and come in second. Knowing Lily, she'll want the win. So if you're watching us on the live screening, you'll see that the wind's a little bit stronger there in the middle of the course. We've just got a little bit of chop coming up now. The flag's starting to flutter across on the far side there in the middle of the course. It's a tail breeze and it's relatively constant at the moment.
So I think Lily Gavin has, oh no.
Yep, you can see
Zoe
her there on the
is
screen.
pulling away from Lily now, putting a bit of power on as she comes up to the final 500 metres. Yeah,
she's been quite impressive in terms of rate and effort right from the start, Zoe, hasn't she? She took it off at quite a high rate and settled at a relatively high rate too. She's certainly extended her lead now. She's crossed in 6:06, so still going at a 2.02 per 500 metre split, and she's now extended her lead over Lily Gavin to 9.48 seconds. Lily still continues to sit comfortably in second. She's extended her lead over Meg Cartwright by a further second, so it's now 10.56.
Certainly very spread out in this race.
Claire Robinson from Penrith Rowing Club has worked her way through to 4th position. Grace Burke in 5th, Michaela Hole now in 6th.
So I think the race is going to be on Grace Burke trying to catch Claire Robinson to get through. She needs to make up 2 seconds.
So there's absolutely no doubt about the message that Canberra Grammar are sending.
Yeah.
Looks like it's going to be 2 from 2. How many heats have we got here? Oh, it must be 2 because there's 4 to progress through to the A final. Yes, so this is the final heat.
Well, being a Masters rower, I know that Canberra are always out of left field, and they're usually very good.
So that'll be a bit of a surprise to Lily Gavin because she's been doing really well locally, but I guess she goes back, has a chat with her coach Brendan Longman, bit of regroup, have a strategy for the A final and come back out and race again. So coming past the grandstand now, Zoe Bond from Canberra Grammar School, coached by Sarah Cook. She will join her colleague Madeline Vag in taking out her heat of the Championship Women's Under-19 Single Scull. Second, a strong row there for Lily Gavin of Sydney Rowing Club, coached by Brendan Longman and Donovan Check. And crossing the grandstand now in 3rd position, the Corio Bay sculler from Victoria, Meg Cartwright, coached by Lee Hall Sullivan. She will join them in the A final. And Claire Robinson from St Mary's High and Penrith Rowing Club, coached by Lindsay Callaghan and Charlotte Toos Cutler, will join them in the A final. Those are the first 4 scullers. Just missing out on the A final, Grace Burke from Mossman Rowing Club, who crosses the line in 5th, and Michaela Hull from Nepean Rowing Club, who is 6th. The winning time for that race for Zoe Bond, 8 minutes 7.17 seconds, so that's some 11 seconds faster than the previous heat. The margin in the end between her and Lily Gavin was 17.85 seconds, and then a further 12.15 to Meg Cartwright and 9.97 to Claire Robinson. So a couple of minutes until our next race. We are staying with the single sculls, moving up from under 19 to under 23. We have 2 heats, and again, the first 4 will progress directly to the A final. There's no repechage, so the remainder will go to a B final. These races are at 10:10 and 10:15. So they're lining up on the start now. In lane 2 from Sydney University, Eleanor Price. In lane 3 from Sydney University, Ella Mentzines. Both scullers are coached by Alfie Young and Jack Hanley. In lane 4 from UTS and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, Nikayla Martincic from UTS, coached by Hallie Chapman and Alex Field. In lane 5 from Mercantile, Emmy Frederico, coached by Al Matthews. In lane 6 from Sydney University Boat Club, Sophie Houston, coached by Alfie Young and Jack Hanley. And in lane 7 from ANU, Lily Reardon, coached by Nigel Harding. So we have at least 3 athletes here who've represented at the Junior World Championships. Ella Mentzines, who won silver in the Junior Women's Coxed 4 in 2018, I think. Sophie Houston, who represented in the double scull in 2019, and Nikayla Martincic, who was in the junior double in 2018. So, and Emmy Frederico, I know, is pretty well credentialed too. Should be a good race. And of course, Nikki Martincic also went to under 23s in the women's Coxless 4 2019.
And started it all at Glebe.
She did indeed.
Yes.
That's quite right. Yes, that's right. She did start rowing there, didn't she? Yes, one of the few of those girls to actually come through from a club rather than a school. Yeah. Beautiful conditions at the start. So if you're watching the live screening, you can see them all sitting now. You can see another volunteer position, boat holders. So those people lying, holding onto the boats. As soon as the lights go and the horns sound, they release, and the girls are off. So a bit of half slide or 3/4 slide there just to get the boat up and moving, and then lengthening out. First 100 meters is done. And now transitioning into their race rhythm, settling in for the remainder of the 2,000 meter course. That's the Olympic distance that hopefully later on in the year we will be watching on our televisions. So the camera there looking at Lily Reardon from in the blue and white of ANU colours, coached by Nigel Harding. And Sophie Houston from Sydney University Boat Club, then panning across lane 5's Emmy Frederico from Mercantile, Nikki Martincic from UTS in lane 4, Ellen Mentzines and Eleanor Price from Sydney University Boat Club in lanes 3 and 2 over to the left of the racing. So still fairly close in that first 500 metres, although it looks from this perspective as though Eleanor Price has had a good start. As has Sophie Houston. And it looks as though Sophie Houston will cross that line first. Oh yes, don't think we've got anybody in the timing, have we? So Sophie Houston crossing the line in first position at the 500 metre mark. Also looking very strong, Emmy Frederico from Mercantile. I would have thought that would have been Nikki Martinich, actually, from UTS as well. Yep, she's right up there too. And Eleanor Price from Sydney University. Sophie Houston got herself into a lovely rhythm there, very strong finish. She's certainly not hanging around to have to work hard at the end of the race. She's getting it all done there, getting herself set up so she can just sit and watch what everybody else is doing. So Sophie actually went off to the USA as a student last academic year, and of course what a nightmare for so many of our athletes who actually study at American universities that they then had to come home, and now a number of them are either studying online during the night and rowing during the day, or they have had to defer their course for now. Sophie, I believe, is at Yale. Nikki Martinich the same. She's at the University of Washington and was really enjoying rowing in the 8, but they really can't get that program going again at the moment, so she's back here now in New South Wales, training with Hallie Chapman and Alex Field, and of course Tim McLaren at UTS in Haberfield. Still in the lead, Sophie Houston from Sydney University Boat Club. She's crossed that 1,000 metre mark in the time of 3 minutes 52. Nikki Martinich from UTS, a length behind her, and then Eleanor Price of Sydney University, a further length. Emmy Frederico still in 4th position, pushing hard against Eleanor Price. Ella Menzies has been pushed back to 5th position, and Lily Reardon follows in 6th. So these two scullers out at the front here, Sophie Houston and Ella Menzies, keeping good length in that tailwind, keeping strong finishes even though it's harder to feel them. And they're going to be rewarded as they come through to the 1,500 metre mark with a spot of flat water.
So it looks like Eleanor Price has pushed through over in lane 2. So it's currently Eleanor Price, Nikki Martinsich, and Sophie Houston, and Sophie's in the lead, followed by Nikki, then Eleanor. Sophie's come through the 1,500 metre mark in 5 minutes 51. Followed 3 seconds behind by Nikki Martinsich. Another 3 seconds back to Eleanor Price. 6 seconds back to Ella Menzies. Then Emmy Frederico is at 1.3 seconds behind 5th place. Then Lily Reardon, 8.8 seconds back, so quite a gap back to 6th.
Yeah, and I guess that would reflect she's probably a little younger, and obviously Sophie and Nikki in particular very experienced in the scull. She's looking very strong there. Forging ahead. So again, first 4 will progress through to the A final, and this is a selection race, so it is really important to these girls who are vying for selection in the under-23 team that they put a good showing here and try and make that A final. So Sophie Houston looking very strong indeed. Nikki Martinic starting to gather steam now as they come into the last 250 meters. She's just keeping it long but trying to raise her rate of striking, but Sophie can see her to her right. She's keeping an eye on her. The danger is coming from Eleanor Price across in lane 2. She's having a storming middle section and continuing to really push hard in this last 250 meters. Ella Mentzines had a good battle with Emmy Frederico, managed to get her nose in front. Emmy not giving up at all. However, Ella, you can see, is lifting the rate, trying to secure that 4th place, and I think she's probably got it because Emmy, I'm not sure if she hasn't realised, but she's maintained the same rate of striking. Sophie Houston crosses the line in 1st position. 2nd, Nikki Martinic from UTS. 3rd will be Eleanor Price from Sydney University Boat Club, and 4th will be Ella Mentzines from Sydney University Boat Club. Those 4 scullers progressing through to the A final. Emmy Frederico of Mercantile crossing in 5th. So close, but just not close enough. And a valiant row there from Lily Reardon of ANU, who will be 6th, and she and Emmy will contest the B final, which will be tomorrow. All heats today. So provisional time for Sophie Houston, 7 minutes, 52.22 seconds. That's pretty good, well inside 8 minutes. The margin 2.54 between her and Nikki Martinic, and a further 7.79 back to Eleanor Price, and another 6.05 to Ella Mentzines.
And we have the second heat of the women's under-23 single scull just about to come through the 1,000-metre mark. And crossing lane 2, we have from ANU, Catherine Kahn, coached by Nigel Harding. In lane 3 from Melbourne University, Katie Easton, coached by Mitchell Nelson. In lane 4 from Sydney University, Jamie Ford, coached by Alfie Young and Jack Hanley. In lane 5 from ANU, Nicola Greenland, coached by Nigel Harding. In lane 6 from Sydney, India Thompson, coached by Lachlan Carter and Donovan Check. And in lane 7 from Sydney University, Sky Frobel, coached by Alfie Young and Jack Hanley. And Sky Frobel has crossed the 1,000-metre in the lead with a 2.9 margin back to India Thompson. Then in 3rd place, Jamie Ford by 1.5 seconds.
So Sky Frobel, again, somebody who's represented Australia at junior level in the women's quad, where she actually rowed with the girls from Mossman Rowing Club and was coached by Judith Ungemach. And she's also been on the under-21 team, and I'm sure she's now trying to push her way into the under-23 team. She's made a move, however, from Melbourne, where she was at Melbourne Rowing Club, and then I'm not quite sure whether it was Merck's or Melbourne Uni, and I think she has now come across to row with the squad at Sydney University. It's very focused, as we could see from the previous heat, on under-23 sculling. Lovely to have her here. Great competitor, and as we can see, she's just trying to row through that patch of rough water and get to the clearer bit at the other side. India Thompson from Sydney Rowing Club, very light, was a lightweight, is now open weight, and a fierce competitor, and she will be throwing the book, trying to keep up. On her side, Nicola Greenland from ANU looks as though she's made some really good progress in this part of the race, and Jamie Ford from Sydney University has been doing better and better this season, and she is neck and neck with Nicola Greenland and India Thompson. But no doubt about Sky Frobel out in front, looking pretty safe already at that 1,500 metre mark. She just has to sit there now and keep everybody to the right of her where she can see them, and keep steady progress in this last 500, where the wind has picked up from the previous heat and has started, looks to me as though it's starting to shift a little bit. The good news is it's blowing towards the mountains, not from them, so hopefully no storms.
All the tailwind, so they should get some good times.
That would be good. 5.57 as for Sky Frobel as she comes through the 1500 metre mark, and she's now got a 7.43 second lead. Nicola Greenland has overtaken India Thompson just and is now sitting in second position. A real battle going on for second and third. India Thompson and Nicola Greenland. It was a good battle, but it looks to me as though Nicola's winning it. But Jamie Ford quite threatening in lane 4 on Nicola's right-hand side. And you certainly can't discount Katie Easton from Melbourne University Boat Club. She's had a good, solid row, and she's looking better and better as she comes down the course. Coming now to the 250 metre mark. The person that's been dropped is Catherine Kahn from ANU. Sky Frobel powers her way now into the last 100 metres of the race to take out the second heat of the Championship Women's Under-23 Single Scull this year in the blue and gold of Sydney University Boat Club. A win there for Sky Frobel of Sydney University Boat Club. Nicola Greenland of ANU lifting her rate of striking now, very confident indeed, taking out second position in this second heat of the under-23 women's single. India Thompson, as determined and full of grit as ever, she crosses in third position to get a better lane, just pipping Jamie Ford to the post. But those 4 scullers will progress through to the A final, and what an A final it's going to be, one well worth watching. Just missing out on the A final, Katie Easton of Melbourne University, but a really plucky row from her, one to watch in the years to come, I'm sure. And coming now across the front of the grandstand, Catherine Kahn from ANU will complete our field in the under-23 women's single scull. The provisional time for Sky Frobel, 7 minutes 56.08 seconds. The margin back to Nicola Greenland, 8.49. Back then, 3.44 to India Thompson and 1.29 to Jamie Ford. So 7:56.08 for Heat 2, 7:52.22 for Heat number 1. Sky Frobel in Heat 2, Sophie Houston in Heat 1, and both from the same club. It'd be interesting to see what happens in the final.
And coming down the course, we have race 9, the Women's Elite Single Scull, Heat 1. Across in lane 1, we have Sarah Ashland from North Esk. In lane 2, Kelly Dreth from Sydney University, coached by Jack Hanley. In lane 3, from Canberra, Cara, excuse me if I get this incorrect, Grizkowiak. In lane 4 from Sydney University, Kate Rowan, coached by Donald McLaughlin. In lane 5 from Mercantile, Amanda Bateman. In lane 6 from Sydney University and the National Training Centre, Rowena Meredith. In lane 7 from the University of Queensland, Lily Alton. And in lane 8 from Griffith University Surfers Paradise, Morgan Reamer, coached by Lincoln Handley.
And this is the first time we've seen any of those who are racing for spaces on the Olympic team. So members of the National Training Centre and members of our institute programs around the country. Prior to this, we've been looking at people who are racing for places in the under-23 team. So here in this race we have Sydney University's Kate Rowan in lane 4. She's at the New South Wales Institute of Sport. Amanda Bateman from Mercantile and the National Training Centre here in Penrith in lane 5. Lane 6 from Sydney University Boat Club and the National Training Centre, Rowena Meredith and Lily Alton from the University of Queensland and the QAS.
And they've come through the 1500 metre mark, and the placings have changed from when they came through the 1000 metre mark. Now Cara's maintained her lead. I dare not pronounce her surname for getting it wrong.
I think it's Grizkowiak.
Yeah.
Or Grizkowiak.
Amanda Bateman has pushed through from 4th place to 2nd place. Kate Rowan has dropped back to 3rd place. and Rowena Meredith crossed over in 4th place. Lily Alton has held her, Lily Alton in 5th, Morgan Reamer in 6th, and Sarah Ashlin has overtaken Kelly Drenth. So they should just be coming through to the last 250 metres now. And it looks like Cara in lane 3 has is holding her own, but she's got a bit of a battle there with Amanda Bateman here in lane 5. Then I could well be a photo between Kate Rowan and Rowena Meredith, but I think it looks like Kate Rowan is actually going to come in 3rd place. So the first 4 through have very comfortably ahead of the rest of the field. So crossing the line, Cara excuse me, followed by Amanda Bateman, then Kate Rowan, and in 4th place, Rowena Meredith. Then quite a gap back to Lily Alton, 14.3 seconds. And across in lane 1, I think we have Sarah Ashlin made up quite a bit of time there to come in across ahead of Morgan Reamer, and it looks...
Yeah, so we've had confirmation actually.
Yeah,
So
followed by Kelly Drenth at the end.
So the results of Heat 1 of the Championship Women's Elite Single Scull was a win for Cara Griskowiak of Canberra Rowing Club. In 2nd, Amanda Bateman from Mercantile and the National Training Centre. In 3rd, Kate Rowan from Sydney University Boat Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport. And in 4th, Rowena Meredith from Sydney University Boat Club and the National Training Centre. Those 4 scullers will progress through to the A final. In 5th, Lily Alton from the University of Queensland and Queensland Academy of Sport. In 6th, Sarah Ashlin from North Esk. In 7th, Morgan Reamer of Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise. And in 8th, Kelly Drenth from Sydney University Boat Club. And those 4 scullers will progress to the B final. The winning time was 7 minutes 40.74. The margins 3.64, 2.85 and 0.95. We go through to the second heat now of the Championship Women's Elite Single Scull. So a reminder, this is a selection event for the senior team. And this year is Olympic year. In lane 2 from Mercantile, Anna Kirkwood, coached by Al Matthews. In lane 3 from Sydney Rowing Club and the National Training Centre, Harriet Hudson. In lane 4 from the University of Queensland and the Queensland Academy of Sport, Caitlin Cronin. In lane 5 from Sydney University Boat Club, Tara Rigney, coached by Alfie Young and Jack Hanley. In lane 6 from Sydney University Boat Club, Georgina Gotch, coached by Don McLaughlin. In lane 7 from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise, Nicole Constable. And in lane 8 from Sydney University Boat Club, Georgie Gleeson, coached by Don McLaughlin. And I must say that both Tara Rigney and Georgie Gotch are also New South Wales Institute of Sport. Yes, I think that's it. I think we've recognised all the institutes there.
And as they came through the 1,000-metre mark, Tara Rigney and Harriet Hudson are battling it out, only 0.3 of a second between them. Actually, I've just come through the 1,500-metre mark, and Harriet has overtaken Tara, but it's only 0.48 of a second. Wow. Then 3 seconds back to Caitlin Cronin.
Yeah, so again we have got Harriet Hudson, who represented Australia at the Junior World Championships in the single scull, where she made the A final, which was pretty good. She then went on to represent in the quad scull under 23s and got a silver medal, and then moved into the double with Rhea Thompson, where they came can't remember whether it was 3rd or 4th, but it was so fast. And the following year, Harriet was in the under 23 double with George Patton. and Ria went into the single and won it, and Georgie and Harriet got silver. And now here Harriet has progressed through to the National Training Centre and is racing for a space in the Olympic sculling team. She has managed to take a lead over the very talented Tara Rigney, who has represented Australia in the under-23 pair. So has made a switch this season to sculling and is going very well indeed. And then in between them, Caitlin Cronin from the University of Queensland and the Queensland Academy of Sport, medalist also in the under-23 quad scull, making a play for the Olympic team. Three of them now well ahead of the rest of the field, but it looks as though it will be Harriet Hudson from Sydney Rowing Club and the National Training Centre who will take out our second heat of the Championship Women's Elite Single Scull. Tara Rigney will be in second place, but really pressing her very hard indeed, and Caitlin Cronin will be third. Time of 7 minutes 44.28, some good fast times. And fourth will be Georgie Gotch. Georgie Gotch of Sydney University Boat Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport. And she has just pushed Anna Kirkwood of Mercantile, very talented, coached by Al Matthews. She's going to have to settle for the B final, I'm afraid. She'll be joined by Georgie Gleeson from Sydney University Boat Club, who's crossed in 6th position, and Nicole Constable of Griffith Unisurface Paradise, who was in 7th. So again, winning time for Harriet Hudson, 7 minutes 44.28. Tara Rigney, 0.74 of a second behind her. Caitlin Cronin, 2.86 seconds behind, and a further 7.54 back to Georgie Gotch. Excellent racing.
And steaming down the course, we have the Heat 1 of the men's elite single scull. In lane 1, we have from Mercantile, Kane Grant, coached by Michael McKay. In lane 2, from Capital Lakes ACT, Harry Glacken, coached by David Ferramano. In lane 3, lane 3 is Scratch, that's David Barthelot, and lane 8, Angus Harding is also scratched. In lane 4, David from Sydney and the National Training Centre, David Watts. In lane 5, coming with a healthy lead at the moment, is Cameron Girdlestone from Sydney University. And in lane 6, representing Griffith University Surface Paradise, Jackson Free, coached by Marcus Free. So crossing the 1,000 metre line, Cam Girdlestone had a lead of 2.78 seconds. Then there was about 5 seconds back to Harry Glacken and 1.5 seconds back to Jackson Free. Then further 5 seconds back to Kane Grant and another 5 seconds back to Newcastle Uni. Odin McIntosh, I think I forgot to mention him before, in lane 7.
Yeah, he very talented, also is a coach at Newcastle Uni, yeah. So 1500, Cam Girdlestone continues to lead David Watts by 2.73 seconds. Harry Glacken still sitting in 3rd position, a further 6.46 back, but that's pretty good showing. Jackson Free in 4th, Kane Grant in 5th, Odin McIntosh currently in 6th. And looking at the margins, they're pretty spaced out. There's 1 or 2 boat lengths between each. So so we look then at what the progression is. So it is first 4 through to the A final, and the first 4 coming up to the 250 metres to go is still Cameron Girdlestone in 1st, David Watts sitting in 2nd. Then it's back to Harry Glacken and Jackson Free. Good to see Jackson here. I know the Queenslanders were thinking that they wouldn't be able to come, and then all of a sudden the borders were lifted, great excitement, and we are so pleased that they've been able to come down and join us for our New South Wales State Championships 2021. I think we all agree you just have to take opportunities as they arise at the moment, don't you, just in case. I mean, I know we say we're going to nationals in Tasmania, but we've all got our fingers crossed and we're holding our breath just to make sure. Cam Girdlestone looking very comfortable indeed in this last 100 metres of the first heat of the Championship Men's Elite Single Scull. Cameron Sydney University Boat Club joined the NTC a couple of years ago. going extremely well down there. Comfortable win for him over David Watts, also from the National Training Centre. They eased off at the end there, so Harry Glacken coming in third, Jackson Free in fourth, and all four of them will progress through to the A final. Through to the B final, Kane Grant from Mercantile Rowing Club and Odin McIntosh from Newcastle University Boat Club, coached by Lucas McBeath and Amos Noon. So winning time for Cam Girdlestone, for what it's worth, 7 minutes 8.39 of a second, and the margin between him and David Watts 4.21 seconds, but both of them easing off quite considerably in the last 250. Further 2.38 back to Harry Glacken and 4.27 to Jackson Free.
And the second heat of the men's elite single scull is coming down the course. In lane 1 from Sydney University, Harrison Rowston, coached by Thomas Lorich. In lane 2 from Melbourne University, John Link, coached by Matt Ryan. In lane 3 from the Western Australia...
Or West Australian?
WARC, I'm not quite, Western Australian, Jack Cleary. In lane 4... from Black Mountain ACT, Luke Letcher, coached by David Ferramano. In lane 5 from Sydney University, the National Training Centre, Campbell Watts. And in lane 6 from the ANU, National Training Centre, Caleb Antle. And in lane 7 from Sydney University, Marcus Britt, coached by Donald McLaughlin. And finally in lane 8 from Mercantile in Victoria, Joel Kane, coached by Michael McKay. And they've come through the 1,000-metre mark with Harrison Rowston in front by 0.83 of a second, followed by Campbell Watts.
Yeah, just want to correct you there. That's actually Luke Letcher, and it's a bit like Kara Grzykowiak, also from the ACT Academy of Sport in the women's elite single scull. There's some good work going down there under their new head coach Dave Ferramano. So he's taken the lead at the 1,000-metre mark, and Campbell Watts, who he was in a double with, just behind him. It's really close. All the guys from the senior squad: Luke Letcher, Campbell Watts, Jack Cleary in third, Caleb Antle in fourth. There's 2 seconds, if that, covering probably 3. Probably 3 seconds covering all 4 of them. And then there's a gap, another 4 or 5 seconds back to John Linke from Melbourne University, Marcus Britt from Sydney University and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, Harrison Rowston from Sydney Uni, and Joel Kane from Mercantile. So these guys who are racing off for Olympic spaces on the Olympic team, really setting the bar, aren't they? They're way in front.
Very exciting race. They're all, as they crossed the 1,500 metre line, there wasn't a length between them.
And Campbell Watts has taken a lead now over Luke Letcher. Caleb Antle has managed to get his nose in front of Jack Cleary, so some slight changes there in those first 4, but it's still the same 4 guys. John Linke remains in 5th, Marcus Britt in 6th, Joel Kane now in 7th, overtaking Harrison Rowston, who's now sitting in 8th. Time to the 1,500 metre mark, 5 minutes 17.47. And so very different to the previous race where it was all quite leisurely. And they wound it down at the end. There's a bit of a battle going on here because everybody wants a good lane in the final. So you can see Luke Letcher, very tall, one of the big humans that we have here in rowing, very tall in that distinctive red. And he's got Jack Cleary and West Australian Rowing Club's red on the far side of him. Having a good battle with Campbell Watts, but a little unseen. Caleb Antle just sneaking through, I think, in lane 6. He's upped his rate of striking. Oh, says Campbell Watts, hold on a second, I'm going to try and match you here. And Caleb's upped again, sprinting, and Campbell's responding. And Caleb has upped his rate of striking again. And he will take out this second heat in the Championship Men's Elite Single Scull. Some good cat and mouse there. Campbell Watts will come across in 2nd, Luke Letcher in 3rd, and Jack Cleary in 4th. And the final time for Caleb, 7 minutes 3.29 seconds. The margin 1.14 over Campbell Watts, 1.83 over Luke Letcher and another 3.69 back to Jack Cleary. And in the second half of the race for the B final, John Linke maintained his position. Joel Kane worked his way up into second. Marcus Britt will be the third one through to the B final, and Harrison Rouston the fourth. So John Linke fourth from Melbourne University, Joel Kane from Mercantile sixth, Marcus Britt from Sydney Uni seventh, and Harrison Rouston eighth.
A very exciting finish there. And coming down the course, it's race 13, the heat 1 of the women's elite pair. In lane 3 from Commercial, a composite crew from Commercial and Sydney, Leah Saunders and Jacinta Edmonds. In lane 4, another composite from Adelaide and Sydney University, Genevieve Horton and Olympia Aldersey. In lane 6, from Western Australia and Huon, another composite, is Sarah Hoare and Georgia Patton. And in lane 7 from Cairns, Lukey Smith and Jess Scott. And I missed lane 3, which is Leah Saunders and Jacinda Edmonds. No, I missed one of them. Jess Morrison and Annabelle McIntyre from Fremantle and Mercantile, and they're in the lead
the world
as they come across the 1,000 metres.
There's some fantastic crews here, aren't there? Some very strong competitors, and I must say I do a lot of coaching on the Nepean River, watching these girls from the National Training Centre, how very hard they train, 3 sessions a day, really quite phenomenal, and they're so fit and so skilled as well. It was very impressive seeing them row. And the hours that they spend on skills and drills in order to be able to really get that boat going as fast as possible. It's not just about fitness, it's not just about power, it is about technique as well, and having all 3 of those, and then that little magic element of your psychology and how you actually approach that. So you can see here that the silver medalists at the last World Championships, Jess Morrison and Annabelle McIntyre, such beautiful rowing. In training recently, I've noticed that they're not always winning, but I think that that's because they're figuring out some changes. They certainly are well ahead at the 1,500 metre mark. They are in front of Georgia Patton from West Australian Rowing Club and Sarah Hoare from Huon, a very strong pair themselves, by 5.81 of a second. And then sitting in third position, I was quite surprised to see them this morning, Genevieve Horton from Sydney University Boat Club and Olympia Aldersey from Adelaide Rowing Club, who of course used to row in the double together. Today they paddled off with pairs riggers on, had to do a double take there, but they're looking very good indeed, sitting in third position, ahead of Leah Saunders from Sydney Rowing Club and Jacinta Edmonds from Commercial, who are in fourth by, there's an 11.41 second gap back to them. So first at the moment, Morrison and McIntyre from Fremantle and Merckx. Second, Hoare and Patton from West Australian and Huon. Horton and Aldersey from Sydney Uni and Adelaide currently in third. Saunders and Edmonds from Sydney and Commercial in fourth. All of those NTC crews. In the fifth crew, of course, Lukey Smith and Jess Scott, coached by Scott Rowe from Cairns Rowing Club. A great crew themselves, I presume, just stepping up to senior level this year. And I really think it's unlikely there's going to be any change in the order that I've just called as they come through to the finish line. So across in front of the grandstand now, and if you're watching online, hello to those of you who've messaged in to say you're watching. Great to see so many people from overseas as well as interstate watching this. Beautiful rowing there, look. Jess Morrison in the bow seat, Annabelle McIntyre in the stroke seat. Congratulations to them. A time of 7 minutes, 8.52 of a second, taking out heat number 1 in the Championship Women's Elite Pair. A nice casual row across the line for Hoare and Patton in second position. The margin 14.95. Horton and Aldersey crossing the line in third, and just behind them Saunders and Edmonds in fourth. And the crew from Cand, Lukey Smith in the bow seat, Jess Scott in the stroke seat, coached by Scott Rowe at Cand Rowing Club. And they will progress through to the B final. So a bit of a change now in our second heat of the Championship Women's Elite Pair. We have in lane 3 under 23 contenders Lauren Graham and Isabel Furrer from Sydney Rowing Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport. They're coached by Lachlan Carter and Donovan Check. In lane 4, a composite of Bronwyn Cox from the University of WA and Georgie Rowe from UTS Haberfield, who both train at the National Training Centre. In lane 5, another National Training Centre crew of Katrina Werry, Kat Werry from Mercantile Rowing Club, and Molly Goodman from Adelaide Rowing Club. In lane 6, another composite from the National Training Centre, Lucy Stephan from Melbourne University Boat Club in the bow seat, and Rosie Popper of Banks in stroke. And in lane 7, from the National Training Centre, Emma Fessy from UTS Haberfield Rowing Club with Siona Wilson from Tamar. Stephan and Popper, half of the National Women's 4 medalists. They are leading at the 1,000 metre mark by 2.45 of a second over Kat Werry and Molly Goodman. Cox and Rowe are sitting in 3rd, Graham and Furrer in 4th, and Fessy and Wilson in 5th. Graham and Furrer, silver medalists in the Junior Women's Coxed 4. Back in 2018 with Ella Mentzines, as we mentioned a little earlier. Then moved into the under-21 team and are now trying to break through into the under-23 team. So they will be pretty determined to try and get a place in the A final, even if it's just to get the experience now, ready for in only 3 years' time, when I am quite sure they're going to be wanting to compete for a seat in the crews for the Paris Olympics. Through the 1,500 metre mark, and it's Popper and Stephan, or Stephan and Popper, if you do it in the order in which they cross the line. Still sitting in first position, but their lead has been closed by Kat Werry and Molly Goodman. They're coming for them. UTS and the University of WA crew of Georgie Rowe and Bronwyn Cox still in 3rd, Sydney Rowing Club still in 4th, and the Tamar UTS composite have closed the gap somewhat now, but at the moment still in 5th. Lovely rhythm there, isn't it? Really nice. That's Lucy Stephan in the bow seat, Rosie Popper in the stroke seat. So a good shot there, you can really see how long the arc of their stroke is. Very accurate timing and really good rhythm. Kat Werry and Molly Goodman firing up for the last 100 metres, but the power and the rhythm of Stephan and Popper, who look like they've lengthened and almost got longer and rating lower and getting more speed out of the boat as they come into the final few strokes of the race. So a very clear win there for Lucy Stephan and Rosie Popper, the composite, Banks and Melbourne and the National Training Centre. 2nd, Kat Werry and Molly Goodman, the Adelaide composite. And 3rd, Bronwyn Cox and Georgie Rowe, the UTS composite from the National Training Centre. Sydney Rowing Club, Lauren Graham and Izzy Farrer hanging on for 4th and a place in the A final, and just missing out Emma Fessy and Siona Wilson, also from the National Training Centre. The winning time for Popper and Stephan, 7 minutes 13.75. The margin 4.54, 4.47 and 7.07.
On the course now we have the championship women's elite lightweight single scull, Heat 1. Ella Andreina Beniamini has scratched from the ACT.
Well, sorry, but thank goodness, because we need to practice her name before she races too much more.
In lane 3 from Griffith Uni at Surfers Paradise, Gemma Dane, coached by Lincoln Handley. In lane 4 from Huon in Tasmania, Eve Muir, coached by John Dreesen. In lane 5 from Huon and the National Training Centre, Georgia Nesbitt. In lane 6 from Adelaide, from the South Australia Sports Institute, Verena Zilm, coached by Christine McLaren. And in lane 7 from the ANU, Sophie Gerapetritis, and coached by Nigel Harding. And they're coming up to the 1,000 metre mark.
So Georgia Nesbitt, a veteran now of the Australian team. I think she went through every age stage and certainly medalled at under 23s. She's been at the National Training Centre now, working away towards her goal of achieving a berth at the Olympic Games, and looking very strong indeed in this race. Verena Zilm from Adelaide, under 23 contender for Australia, at the South Australian Sports Institute, looking strong also. And then sitting in third position, Eve Muir, beautiful sculler there, beautiful technique, coached by the expert himself, Johnny Dreesen, who did such great work with the heavyweight men in previous Olympiads. He's coaching Eve Muir at the Huon Rowing Club. Great to see him here as well, and looking very fit and healthy indeed, I must say. So it's always lovely when we have catch-ups like this, when we all get to see each other, and especially in these times, just to keep a check and make sure we're all fit and healthy and everybody's still here. I know we've lost a few members of our own community over the COVID shutdown, so welcome everybody, great to see you. Let's all have coffee, let's all just celebrate being alive, really. So those three sitting clearly out in front. Then there's quite a gap back to Sophie Gerapetritis, who moved to Canberra from Sydney probably about a year ago, I think, and really enjoying her time there and her job there, and she's rowing at ANU with Nigel Harding. Sophie, who represented at the World University Games in the lightweight double scull, and Gemma Dane, who's working with Lincoln Handley at Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise. She originally came from, I think, Grafton. Georgia Nesbitt continues to lead at the 1,500 metre mark. She's now got a lead of almost 7 seconds over Verena Zilm, who has a boat length over Eve Muir. Sophie Gerapetritis then some 12 seconds behind. And the field being followed up then by Gemma Dane.
It just went by itself, didn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Pointed down the course. Oh, looking very good. Yeah.
So they're inside the last 250 metres, and lo and behold, the wind has dropped, the flags have stopped fluttering, some nice water there, and Georgia Nesbitt looking fantastic as she powers her way through those last few strokes into the finish line. looking very confident, really long and strong. A good battle going on behind her. Verena Zilm still holding on to second place over Eve Muir of Huon. But something to celebrate, hearing that in Paris there will still be a lightweight double scull for both men and women. There's lots to look forward to and lots to train and fight for. So Verena just 2.68 of a second over Eve Muir. So Verena second, Eve third. And they will be joined in the A final by Sophie Gerapetritis of ANU. And just missing out, moving through to the B final, will be Gemma Dane from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise. The winning time for Georgia Nesbitt was 7 minutes 45.46 seconds. The margins 12.62, 2.68 and 14.84.
And race 16 on the course, the second heat of the women's elite lightweight single scull. Across in lane 2 from Newcastle Uni is Christy Hinton, coached by Odin McIntosh. In lane 3 from ANU, Annika Reardon, coached by Nigel Harding. In lane 4 from UTS and the National Training Centre, Sarah Pound. In lane 5 from Sydney University and the National Training Centre, Lucy Coleman. Michaela Franz from UTS is showing as a did not start. And in lane 7 from Melbourne University, Mila Marston, coached by Mitchell Nelson. And they've come through the 1,000 metre mark. No, they haven't. They are just about to. So Sarah Pound has come through with a lead of 2.29 seconds over Lucy Coleman.
Yeah. Lucy Coleman, who has been rowing at Sydney University Boat Club and just was invited into the National Training Centre this season. So of course we were thinking that there wasn't going to be any lightweight double hereafter, and we were thinking that the Olympics would be in 2020, and good old Lucy, she just carried on training anyway, and here we go. She's got everything in front of her, and given how very experienced and powerful Sarah Pound is, who's been in the double for the last few years, she got a very good showing indeed, hasn't she, to just be less than 3 seconds behind Sarah at the 1,000 metre mark. So a good scull for her. Again, training really hard at the National Training Centre. So we can see on the screen there Lucy Coleman in lane 5. And of course we're at the stage of season where the lightweights are down to weight, so it's been quite interesting seeing them all suddenly, their bodies disappear. Annika Reardon there, another fine sculler from ANU, coached by Nigel Harding in the ACT High Performance Programme. And she's, by the looks of things, sitting in, she's in 3rd position. Mila Marston back over in lane 7, representing Melbourne University Boat Club and the Victorian Institute of Sport, is currently in 4th, just behind Annika Reardon in time, but of course it's difficult for them to tell because they're on opposite sides of the course. And then Christy Hinton from Newcastle University, currently sitting in 5th position.
And look at that water, just glass as they cross the 1,500 metre mark. So Sarah Pound has come across with a healthy lead of 4 seconds over Lucy Coleman. Then it's about 10.7 seconds back to Mila Marston. She's followed with a margin of 3.2 seconds to Annika Reardon. So fairly well spread out field here. And I'm not quite sure, it looks like something might have happened to Christy Hinton. She's going very slow up the back there.
Yes, an important selection event here for Sarah Pound and Lucy Coleman, who have set their cap at a spot in the Olympic double. Sarah Pound looking strong, relaxed, long, managing to keep about a length of clear water over Lucy Coleman. And then still a good battle going on between Annika Reardon and Mila Marston. Sarah Pound taking it up. Lucy Coleman responding as they come into the last 100 metres.
I think Lucy took it up and has pushed Sarah.
Maybe. And she's managed to close the gap. That's a good finish. Almost. Oh, I doubt there'll be even clear water. Sarah Pound hangs on to the win though. So that's Sarah Pound from UTS and the National Training Centre taking out Heat 2 of the Championship Women's Elite Lightweight Single Scull. Lucy Coleman second. A great race has gone on between Mila Marston and Annika Reardon, but Mila Marston from Melbourne University Boat Club and the Victorian Institute of Sport will place third. And then it's back to Annika Reardon of ANU and the ACT High Performance Programme. Those 4 scullers will progress through to the A final. And she's still on the course and she's still plugging away. So Christy Hinton, when she finishes the race, will qualify herself for the B final. The time for Sarah Pound winning that heat of the Women's Elite Lightweight Single Scull was 7 minutes 48.03, so 3 seconds slower than the previous heat. Lucy Coleman just 1.81 of a second behind her, then 15.35 back to Mila Marston.
And on the course we have the men's elite lightweight single scull. I've just come through the 1,000 metre mark. Over in lane 2 we have Connor Ryan from North Esk in Tasmania. In lane 3 from the ANU, ACT, Hamish Harding, coached by David Fermano. In lane 4 from UTS, Michael McRae, coached by Alex Field and Hattie Chapman. Often here up on doing the commentating. In lane 5 from Toowong in the Queensland Institute of Sport, Hamish Parry, coached by Donald McLaughlin. In lane 6 from Adelaide and the South Australian Sports Institute, Oscar McGuinness, coached by Christine McLaren. And in lane 7 from Corio Bay, Max Partington, coached by Lee Hall Sullivan. And as they crossed the 1,000 metre mark, Hamish Parry had a fairly healthy lead of 5 seconds over Connor Ryan, then a margin of 2.1 seconds back to Hamish Harding, followed very closely by Oscar McGuinness at 0.4 of a second, so they're battling it out neck and neck. Then further 2.5 seconds back to Michael McRae and 3.7 seconds back to Max Partington. So fairly closely bunched, but Hamish Parry has a very healthy lead there.
Indeed he does. So Hamish Parry, who in our next heat, Sean Murphy from Mossman, they've been racing a double scull. They were preparing it for the international season last season, doing very well, and they've continued with their preparations, and they're just going faster and faster, which is really exciting. The year before, Hamish Parry was in a lightweight double with Leon Chambers from Sydney University Boat Club. So he's very experienced in the double scull, really excellent in it, and in the single scull loves a good battle with Sean Murphy in particular. And looking at how he's going here in this first heat, he's going to get his wish, managing to maintain that lead over everybody else, looking quite comfortable. You can tell him there on the screen in his bucket hat. So Oscar McGuinness looking quite strong in the second half of the race. He was in 4th. Looks as though he may have crept up a little bit. Yes, he is. He's moved his way up to 3rd by the 1,500 metre mark. And let's see if he can overtake Hamish Harding from the ACT High Performance Programme and get himself an even better lane for the finish. Looking there from overhead, you can see Hamish Parry in the lead. Oscar is in the yellow boat to his left, and then over on the right-hand side, a great battle going on between Hamish Harding from ANU and Connor Ryan from North Esk. Hamish Harding managing to keep his nose in front. And actually they're all closing on Hamish, aren't they? Oh, and a real sprint coming from Hamish Harding in that as he comes into that last 100 metres where it's where the boys change colour. Yeah, but Hamish is far too wily. He's just sitting on him, lengthening out, putting a few big strokes in there to convincingly win the first of our heats in the Championship Men's Elite Single Scull. Hamish Harding will settle for second position, and a photo finish between Oscar McGuinness of Adelaide and Connor Ryan of North Esk for that third position. Fourth, Michael McRae, for third and fourth. Fifth, Michael McRae from UTS, and sixth will be Max Partington from Corio Bay. So just confirming then that going through to the A final will be Hamish Parry from Toowong and the Queensland Academy of Sport. Second, Hamish Harding from ANU in the ACT High Performance Programme. And then we're not sure exactly which order, but it's certainly Connor Ryan from North Esk and Oscar McGuinness from Adelaide Rowing Club and the South Australian Sports Institute. A photo finish there for third and fourth, but they will progress through to the A final. Going to the B final, Michael McRae from UTS and Max Partington from Corio Bay, fifth and sixth respectively. Winning time for Hamish Harding, 7 minutes 4.76 seconds. The margin from him to Hamish Harding, 3.64.
And the second heat of the elite lightweight single scull, the men's, over in lane 3 from UTS, William Clark, coached by Alex Field and Hallie Chapman. In lane 4 from Bucks in Tasmania, Alec Patterson. In lane 5 from Mercantile in Victoria, Red Matthews, coached by Michael McKay. In lane 6 from Mossman, Sean Murphy, coached by Matthias Ungermark. And in lane 7 from Toowong in Queensland, in the Queensland Institute of Sport, Thomas Williamson, coached by Leo Karadimitris. And I've come through the 1,000 metre mark with Sean Murphy in the lead. 1.3 seconds back to Red Matthews from Mercantile, so it's pushing him along. And 2.4 seconds back to Tom Williamson. Then very close behind him at 0.2 of a second is Alex Patterson. And then it's a 14-second gap back to William Clark. So the first four look to be fairly battling it out. It's going to be an exciting finish, I think.
That's the one thing that you can always count on with lightweight rowing, isn't it? That everything's so equal because they're almost exactly the same weight. Their boats would be the same weight. And so it really is about the skill and the power and the wiliness of each of those competitors. It's fantastic racing, and I think that's why it's been such a popular Olympic event, and how disappointed we were that it might disappear completely. So, a bit contentious here. Looks as though Red Matthews has got his nose in front of Sean Murphy. Good for him. And Alec Patterson from Buckingham Rowing Club also having a good stab. So that would be at the 1,500 metre mark. So Red Matthews has reversed the fortunes, and he's now got a 2.22 second lead over Sean Murphy. Alec Patterson sitting in third, just 0.51 of a second behind. And Tom Williamson of Toowong, also of the QAS, in fourth. Will Clark still in fifth. So interestingly, the wind conditions for this race, again, quite different to previous race. They've been through a flat bit of water in the third 500, and now they're coming into quite gusty cross tailwind conditions. Red Matthews looking really good, sitting up tall, keeping his stroke long. Sean Murphy chucking everything now into that last 100 metres as he comes into those red buoys. Alec Patterson from Buckingham Looking quite relaxed, really. So on the screen, if you're looking on the screen now, at the moment you can see Red Matthews and Alec Patterson in lanes 5 and 4, and here's Sean Murphy just coming into view now. A good battle, but I think today, in this particular race, the heat, it will be Red Matthews who will cross the line in first position. Great row for him from Mercantile. Sean Murphy second, Alec Patterson third. Fourth will be Tom Williamson from Toowong and the Queensland Academy of Sport. So that's our first 4 scullers across the line progressing through to the A final. And moving to the B final will be William Clark from UTS. The time for Red Matthews in that heat, 7 minutes 9.65. The margin from him to Sean Murphy, 3.5, and a further 0.95 back to Alec Patterson. Right, so we're moving from our elite or open age group back to younger age group. This is the men's under 21 single scull, so we're remaining with single sculls. We have got 3 heats with the first 3 to progress through to the final, and this time the remainder will be eliminated. So in heat number 1 of the Championship Men's Under 21 Single Scull, in lane 1, representing Mossman, William Bogue, coached by Matthias Ungermach. In lane 2, representing UTS, Harry Curtin, coached by Alex Field and Hallie Chapman. Oh, sorry, he has scratched, thank you. In lane 3, representing Sydney University Boat Club, Tom Anderson, coached by Chris Holliday and Jack Hanley. In lane 4, representing Commercial, Sam Green, coached by Charles Green. In lanes 5 from UTS, Lachlan Roach, coached by Alex Field and Hallie Chapman. In lane 6, Corio Bay, Xavier Hall-Sullivan, coached by Lee Hall-Sullivan. In lane 7, representing Tweed, Dylan Rhodes, coached by Gary Anand. And in lane 8, representing Canberra Rowing Club and the ACT High Performance Programme, Cormac Hayes, coached by Dave Romano. Oh, and he did not start. What a shame. What a shame. I would imagine that they're desperate to get out of Canberra and come and race. At the 1,000-metre mark, it's big, strong Tom Anderson from Sydney University Boat Club who has taken a lead over Sam Green. Did we not see Sam race earlier? We did, yes. So he's already warmed up. So good little fight going on between the two of them there, just 0.59 of a second difference. And then Xavier Hall-Sullivan from Corio Bay, just 0.41 of a second back to put him into the 3rd position. And then not too far at all then back to Dylan Rhodes from Tweed Rowing Club.
And Tom Anderson, Sam Green still battling it out as they come across the 1,500 metre mark, with only Tom Anderson in the lead and Sam Green only 0.9 of a second behind him. Xavier Hall-Sullivan 1.3 seconds back, followed by Dylan Rhodes. Lachlan Roach is a good 10 seconds back. So the first 4 to go through are fairly clear. That's going to be Tom Anderson, Sam Green, Xavier Hall-Sullivan and Dylan Rhodes. It's just a matter of them battling out in which order. And coming up the rear is William Bogue. So it looks to me that Tom Anderson over the far side there is increasing his lead, looking very comfortable doing it.
So we're sorry to hear that the reason that Cormac Hayes had to scratch from the race is because he ended up in the emergency department of the local hospital last night. So we wish him a really speedy recovery. Very sorry indeed that he wasn't able to join us here, and we hope his coach manages to find a nice quiet spot for a bit of shut-eye later on.
And the orders changed as they crossed the line, with Xavier Hall-Sullivan making a really good push to
How did he
have a clear lead over Sam Green and Tom Anderson. So quite a turnabout of events there as they crossed the line. And Dylan Rhodes came in fourth. Then quite a large margin back to Lachlan Roach, and about to cross the line from Mossman, William Bogue.
So confirming the results then for race number 19, the first heat of the championship men's under-21 single scull is a win for Corio Bay Xavier Hall-Sullivan. Second, Commercials Sam Green. Third, Sydney University Boat Club's Tom Anderson. Those three scullers will progress through to the A final. Fourth, Lachlan Roach from UTS. Fourth was Dylan Rhodes, was it not? Yes, from
Dylan
Tweed.
Rhodes,
Fifth was Lachlan Roach from UTS, and sixth was William Bogue from Mossman. Those three scullers are now eliminated from the event. Heat number 2 of the Championship Men's Under-21 Single Scull is in progress. In lane 2, Sydney University Boat Club, Elliot Simpson. In lane 3, Canberra Rowing Club, Raphael Priest. In lane 4, UTS, Alexander Wood. In lane 5, Mossman, Patrick Burke. In lane 6, Nepean, Miles Harold. In lane 7, UTS, Henry Blackwell. And in lane 8, from Penrith, Bradley Moran. So some real talent in this field, and I say that from having sat up here in this tower for a few years now and gone round to some of the pathways and underage team camps and clubs. A really great lineup in terms of talent, and at the moment Elliot Simpson from Sydney University Boat Club is in the lead. He reached the 1,000 metre mark in 3.38 seconds. Just 1.2 second behind him, Miles Harold from Nepean Rowing Club. Third, Alexander Wood, very talented, I can't remember now which school he went to, but very good sculler at school as well. So he's now at UTS. And then Henry Blackwell at UTS, just behind him and just in front of equally talented Patrick Burke from Mossman Rowing Club, although I'd class Pat as a sweep, or rather than a sculler, but doing pretty well in this great race. As they come into the 1,500 metre mark, Elliot Simpson continues to lead over Miles Harold. Alexander Wood still in third, Henry Blackwell still in fourth, but Raphael Priest of the ACT programme has managed to overtake Patrick Burke of Mossman Rowing Club.
I think Henry Blackwell might have been a Sydney Secondary College kid. Yeah, because all our kids knew him. Yeah, yeah. Not as yet, but now the school year started, we'll get it up and running again, yeah.
So Elliot Simpson across on the far side in lane number 1 continues to lead as we come through to the last 250, but those UTS scullers looking very good indeed, having a good old bash against each other. And Miles Harold from Nepean Rowing Club, I think he's recently joined in with some of the activities with the 4 high performance clubs here in New South Wales, and it's given him a real confidence. He's very talented, long arms and legs, moves the boat really beautifully, and has ever since he was a little tiny tot. So he's having a great row here in the last 250. And what is really awful is that only 3 of these guys are going to go through to the A final, because we haven't got enough to have a A and B final. Well, it'll definitely be Elliot Simpson, although that was a little wobbly stroke he took there. He's stayed safe, he's stayed ahead, and he will come in first. And Miles Harold will be second across the line, and third, it was Henry Blackwell. He just pipped Alexander Wood to the post. Henry Blackwell will make the A final, cutting his colleague Alexander Wood, also from UTS, out of the A final. How contentious. Raphael Priest from Canberra came across the line in 5th. A good second half of the race for him. 6th will be Pat Burke from Mossman Rowing Club, and 7th Bradley Moran from Penrith Rowing Club. So the winning time for Elliot Simpson was 7 minutes 23.40. Second, the margins are 1.23 and 1.457, and Henry Blackwell just beat Alexander Wood to that to that qualifying spot by 0.31 of a second, which is half a stroke. Yeah. How devastating.
And a very exciting push there at the end from Henry. He was going to do it.
I was going to say,
come hell or high water.
Devastating for Alexander Wood, but really exciting for Henry Blackwell, and just really shows what an excellent program they've got down there at UTS. Really competitive with their single sculling.
So on the course, we have the 3rd heat of the men's under 21 single scull. In lane 2 from Melbourne University, we have Felix Oliver, coached by Matt Ryan. In lane 3 from Buxton, Tasmania, Lucas Wigston. In lane 4 from Cairns, Jared Lord, coached by Scott Rowe. In lane 5, Liam Glacklin, from UTS, coached by Alex Field and Hallie Chapman. In lane 6 from Sydney University, William Delaney, coached by Jack Hanley and Katrina Rose. And in lane 7 from UTS, Liam Glacklin, coached by Alex Haley and... Ned Power, coached by Alex Field and Hallie Chapman. And in lane 8 from Sydney University, Nicholas Miro, coached by Christopher Holliday and Jack Hanley. And as they came through the 1,000-metre mark, Lucas Wigston was in the lead by a fairly healthy 3.9 seconds, followed very closely by Jared Lord, then very closely followed by William Delaney by 0.6 of a second. 4th across the line, and whether he'll be able to make up the distance to get through is Felix Oliver, 3 seconds back. Then Nicholas Miro, Liam Glacklin and Ned Power.
So, under 21 single scull, so anything could happen here. What we do find very commonly is that guys leave year 12, and girls, at the end of 1 year, and then go to their rowing club camp in the January and really get the taste for rowing, get going on it, and then they're starting to come through by this stage of the season. So often we've got new names or talent that we've not really seen come through before. So it's always fascinating, the small boats here in New South Wales and the state championships. You really see some improvement. So Lucas Wigston, he's from Buckingham Rowing Club in Tasmania. He's hanging on to the lead. Not hanging on, he's extended it by
over
Jared
10
Lord
seconds.
from Cand in Rowing Club in Queensland, who's coached by Scott Rowe. William Delaney, fairly new to Sydney University Boat Club. He's managing to continue to sit in 3rd position, and he has been joined now by Nicholas Miro, who has worked his way up from 6th to 5th to 4th. Liam Glacklin has worked his way up from 6th to 5th. He represents UTS. Felix Oliver is now sitting in 6th position. He represents Melbourne University Boat Club, and UTS sculler Ned Power is in 7th. So Lucas Wigston looking very strong indeed, well out in front. That sculler from Buckingham, really long strokes, but looking as though he's moving that boat really nicely. Absolutely no doubt whatsoever that barring any mishap, he will be first across the line, leaving all the others to battle it out for the 2 remaining places. Only 3 to go through to the A final from this heat.
And with that margin, he's certainly not letting up. He's pushing hard to the finish.
So Jared Lord from Cand in that red and white zoot suit, looking pretty strong, and then the 2 Sydney University scullers looking good. So William Delaney, who's in lane 6, and Nicholas Miro, who's in lane 8.
And Lucas just about stopped before they crossed the line there.
So a bit of a sprint coming from Will Delaney here. Nick Miro looking very relaxed indeed. Is it going to cost him a place in the A final? Oh, I think that might be a photo finish. It is a photo finish between the 2 Sydney Uni scullers.
I would call it as Nicholas Miro from what I could see.
He
by
looked
about
very
a bow
relaxed
ball.
though. I think if he'd taken 1 extra stroke, he would have been a definite. But yeah, so photo finish for 3rd and 4th. So we'll have to come back to you on that. Felix Oliver secured 5th position, and then a photo finish for 6th and 7th as well. Between Ned Power and between the two UTS scullers. So we'll wait to hear what the judges think, but certainly Lucas Wigston of Buckingham Rowing Club in Tasmania winning the Championship Men's Under 21 Single Scull Heat 3 in a time of 7 minutes 14.14 seconds. Jared Lord was 14.15 seconds behind him, and then, as we say, there's a photo finish for 3rd and 4th. So on the course now, the Championship Men's Elite Pair. Again, a selection race for those contending for the Olympic team. The first 4 will progress through to the final, plus the next fastest sculler from all of the heats. And then it's a bit too complicated, but then the next fastest go into a B final. In lane 1 from Melbourne University, Andrew Judge and Mitchell Hooper, coached by Matthew Ryan. In lane 2 from Swan River and Mercantile, Sam Marsh and Benjamin Canham, coached by Mike Mackay. In lane 3, a composite between UTS Haberfield and Mercantile, training at the National Training Centre. That's Liam Donald from Mercantile and Tim Masters from UTS. Another NTC composite in lane 4, Spencer Turren from Sydney Rowing Club with Alex Hill from Adelaide. In lane 5, Sydney Rowing Club National Training Centre pair of Sam Hardy and Josh Hicks, the bronze medal winning pair from 2019. In lane 6 from Melbourne University and the National Training Centre, Josh Booth, he's back with Simon Keenan. In lane 7, a composite of Jackson Kent from Sydney Rowing Club and Will O'Shaughnessy from Sydney University Boat Club, coached by Don McLaughlin and supported by the New South Wales Institute of Sport. From Sydney University Boat Club, Devlin Walsh and Lachlan Miles, coached by Tom Lorridge. And in lane 9 from Cand, Nick Ringelstein and Miller Rowe, coached by Scott Rowe. Ooh, what a lineup. How exciting. And at the 1,000-metre mark, it's Spencer Turren and Alex Hill in the lead by 3.5 seconds over the bronze medalists from the World Championships in 2019, Sam Hardy and Josh Hicks, also both of them having competed in rowing for Harvard University. Sitting in 3rd, Canham and Marsh, the young guns. At the 1,500-metre mark, Turren and Hill continue to lead over Hardy and Hicks, extending their lead to 3.34 seconds. A massive push from Donald and Masters of the NTC has seen them go from 6th position to 3rd. From 5th to 4th, Booth and Keenan, also from the NTC. And Canham and Marsh, a valiant start to their 2,000-metre race, but now pushed back into 5th position from the guys from the NTC. Kench and O'Shaughnessy continue to sit in 6th position. Melbourne University's Judge and Hooper have moved back to 7th. Ringelstein and Rowe are in 8th, and Sydney University's Walsh and Miles are in 9th. So here we go. Coming into the last 250 metres, will Spencer Turren and Alex Hill get overtaken by Josh Hicks and Sam Hardy. Some massive pushes going on there. But it doesn't look likely. There's a really strong row coming from Josh Booth and Simon Keenan, always very good in a pair together. Some massive puddles being pushed down there, having a real battle with the very smooth Sydney Rowing Club pair who've checked their rate of striking right up. But Turren and Hill, they still have, I reckon, clear water, don't you, over the other pairs. Sydney Rowing Club versus Melbourne University Boat Club, battle royal going on there. Kench and O'Shannessy, a fantastic finish to the race. Can they move through and come through into the A final position, 4th position? I think they probably can. They can. They did. Thank you, finish. So, a win for Turren and Hill. Turren and Hill will take out 1st position. Booth and Keenan, 2nd. Hardy and Hicks, 3rd. The young guns, Kench and O'Shannessy, force their way into 4th, pushing Liam Donald and Tim Masters into the B, unless they're the next fastest finishers, into 5th position. 6th, Canham and Marsh. 7th, Judge and Hooper. 8th, Ringlestein and Rowe. 9th, Walsh and Miles. Winning time, 6 minutes, 31.91. The margin, 1.04 over Booth and Keenan, 0.8 over Hardy and Hicks, and a 0.92 back to Kench and O'Shannessy.
And I just have to say, you could hear the excitement in Lizzie's voice, but I saw her jumping around the commentary box here, very, very excited at the finish of that race.
So fantastic. Don't you love Olympic year? I mean, it's just so amazing to see people who have trained so hard and you know what they've put into it over years and years to get to this point. This isn't the finish point. This is what sets up the scene for the final trials, and the final trials will see the final crew selected. But here we go again, another really full-on race in the Championship Men's Elite Pair, with the first 4 to progress through to the A final, and the next fastest finisher will join them to make it the full 9 lanes. So in lane 1, we've got Alexander Wolf from Mercantile with Fred Roper from Melbourne University Boat Club, coached by Mike Mackay. In lane 2, Fergus Hamilton from Mercs with Angus Dawson from Adelaide. In lane 3, Ben Coombs from UTS and Rowan Lavery from Melbourne University in an NTC composite. In lane 4, Nick Lavery from UTS and Alex Pennell from Sydney Uni in a NTC composite. In lane 5, from the Men's National Training Centre, Jack Hargreaves and Jack O'Brien from Sydney University, the dream team from Joey's College. In lane 6, Nick Pennell from Sydney University Boat Club with Angus Widdicombe from Mercantile in an NTC composite. In lane 7, Jack Robertson from Mercantile with Paddy Holt from UTS, another NTC composite. In lane 8, the under-23s, Alex Nichol and Alex Potter from Sydney Rowing Club. And in lane 9 from UTS, the lightweights, Peter Waldersea and Andrew Brown. At the 1,000-metre mark, it is Hargreaves and O'Brien have a 2.28 second lead over Lavery and Pennell from Sydney University and UTS. So that is the Nick Lavery and Alex Pennell composite. Coombs and Lavery, that's Rowan Lavery, in 3rd position. Pennell, that's Nick Pennell, with Angus Widdicombe in 4th position. All these brothers, why are they in the same heat? Hamilton and Dawson currently sitting in 5th. Robertson and Holt in 6th. Wolf and Roper in 7th. And Waldersea and Brown in 8th. That's at the 1,000-metre mark. Hargreaves and O'Brien in the lead. So Jack Hargreaves, of course, who's been in the 4 with Alex Hill over the last few years. A phenomenal rate of striking when they're racing in the 4, and we just saw them able to really raise the rate of striking in the with Spencer Turren in the pair. You can see them now in the centre of the screen there. So tall, with long limbs. Perfect really for rowing, really nice style there. And also what's interesting is when they paddle at a lower rate, that very pronounced park at the finish that you don't see so much when they're racing. Their lead has been nibbled away now by Alex Pennell and Nick Lavery in 2nd position. There's just 1.32 of a gap now, and then it's back to the Adelaide Mercantile pair who were in 5th, who've worked their way up. So that's big, strong Angus Dawson with the very talented Fergus Hamilton. Oh, I swear at under 23, surely. Pennell and Widdicombe still sit in 4th. Coombs and Lavery have dropped back to 3rd. Okay, coming up to the last 250. So remember, at 1,500 metres, Hargreaves and O'Brien, who are in lane 5 in the middle of the course, and Alex Pennell and Nick Lavery in lane 4 were neck and neck, and they continue to be so. Now you can see Nick Lavery has got those black and white up and down stripes of UTS. He's in the bow seat in lane 4, quite distinctive, raising their rate of striking, keeping it fairly long, but my O'Brien and Hargreaves, oh yeah, here they go. So now they've lifted, they have responded, and those two crews now leap forward compared to the others. Oh, it's going to be a good battle. I have a feeling that Pennell and Lavery, they stole a quick lead, but with one massive stroke, it will be O'Brien and Hargreaves who will. Oh, well, according to this, no. According to this, it's Lavery and Pennell. Oh, I don't know.
I would call it
so would I.
Hargreaves and O'Brien, from what I could see.
And a photo finish for 3rd and 4th. Melbourne University, Coombs and Lavery will have to settle for 5th position and hope that their time is fast enough to get them into the A final. Robertson and Holt come across in 6th position. Mercantile's Wolf and Melbourne Uni Mercantile combination of Wolf and Roper, 7th. 8th, Waldersea and Brown from UTS. So it was Young Guns, Alex Nichol, Alex Potter in a photo finish with Hamilton and Dawson. So it's been judged as Nick Pennell and Angus Widdicombe. In the official results, it's Hargreaves and O'Brien, 1st position in a time of 6 minutes, 32.02 seconds. 2nd, Nick Lavery and Alex Pennell, margin 0.14. 3rd, Nick Pennell and Angus Widdicombe, a margin of 3.14. And Hamilton and Dawson 4th, the margin 1.49. Coombs and Lavery 5th, the margin 2.44. So going through to the A final definitely would be Hargreaves and O'Brien from Sydney University, Lavery and Pennell from UTS Sydney Uni, Pennell and Widdicombe from Sydney Uni and Mercantile, and Hamilton and Dawson from Mercs and Adelaide, possibly going through Coombs and Lavery from Melbourne University. So we must have had a withdrawal then from Potter and, yeah, they must have not started. Yeah.